We're now going to sew the zipper divider pocket. You will need 4 piece G divider pieces, all of them interfaced. I chose to keep the interfacing out of the side and bottom seams to reduce bulk. You will also need a zipper. For the extra large, you'll need a 9-inch zipper, and for the large, you'll need a 7-inch zipper. Now, you can also use zipper tape, and if you're doing that, then cut it 1/2 inch longer. So you would need 9.5 inches of zipper tape for the extra large and 7.5 for the large. This is the large, and so I cut 7.5 inches. This is not zipper tape, it's just a long zipper that I cut. What I did is I cut a 1/4 inch past this zipper stop here, and then I cut 7 inches here, and then plus 1/4, so the full length is 7.5 inches. Then I took a little scrap of fabric, 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches, and I folded it in half. I folded the pieces towards the center and then half again to make a little binding. I'm going to slip that on each side. I'm using, it's going to be wider than your zipper. I'm using number 5 zippers. Actually, this might be 4.5. But if you're, this also works with size 3 zippers, and you'll just, where did I put my scissors? You'll just trim off the edges with your scissors. I left mine at my cutting table, so I'll use these. Whatever's extra, you'll cut off. And then I'll do the same at this end. Looks like I cut it a little crooked, so I'll try to fix that. See, like this, and then sew across. And I'm pretty sure at some point in this recording, my son's gonna burst in and start talking really loud because they're coming home from school soon. Okay, so now you have your zipper like this. Now this is a lot narrow, this is not nearly as long as your divider piece is wide, and that's because the top of the frame is only, for this size, 8 inches wide, and when you reach your hand in, if you make it too long, you have to dig around for the front and back of the zipper. So this is 7 inches wide. And I like to, I will center my zipper in the middle. And I always like to baste it on one side before I sandwich it between 2 sides. This divider, I'm doing the same lining fabric on both the inside and outside of the divider pocket. But I did one in a larger size where I used waterproof canvas for the outside and cotton fabric for the inside. If you're doing a different outer and inside fabric for this, and you're basting it like this, make sure you're basting to the inside fabric. So I'm just going to baste this. And I always move my zipper out of the way, as I don't like to sew right next to the zipper. It always makes my zipper wavy right next to there if I sew next to the zipper pull. Okay, now I'm going to take another piece and I'm going to sandwich these together. Now I've got TV shows in the background and I've got birds in the background. I never have a quiet household. So I'm going to sew across this, but before I do that, at the bottom, I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch box on both of these bottom corners. So I'm going to draw that in. Okay, so now I have drawn in this box on the corner. Okay, now I'm going to sew across this top part. And I'm using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. But if you are using a size 3 zipper, you're going to want to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance here on the top. Okay, I have to get my zipper pull out of the way. Okay, I've sewn across the top, and while I still have, before I turn it right side out, I'm going to sew a box right here. And pivot at the corner. If your box isn't perfect, that's okay. Nobody will see this. It'll be at the very, very bottom. But we sew this box because that's how we keep this divider out of the way of the boxed bottom of the purse. Okay, so I will cut really close to this seam, and this is the important part to make sure it lays nicely. I will cut up to this corner diagonally, but I don't cut through the stitches. And I will do the same for the other side. Okay. Now I'm going to turn this whole piece right side out. And I am going to top stitch across the top. So I've got this side done, and I'm going to top stitch these little corners too. After this point, I am going to repeat this with the other side. However, I am not going to record that simply because my phone is about to run out of storage. I'm going to try to get the second side recorded and hope that my camera doesn't run out of storage. So I am basting it across another divider piece. And you can see I matched up these edges so that this is perfectly centered. And now I'm going to paste this in place. and I'm going to make sure down here to roll this inside part out of the way so that I can sew this bottom box after I sew the top zipper. Okay, I'm going to turn these right side out and top stitch it. Okay, so now this is what my piece looks like. It's top stitched in all the corners and next to the zipper. So now I'm going to fold it in half. You'll notice that there's extra space at each end. So we're going to need to start sewing here at the ends. So this part will be closed. So we're going to sew from here all the way down the sides because we want this to act as just one piece. Then we'll sew all the way across the bottom. And back up this other side. And I will stop sewing right up here to the edge. And then my zipper pocket will be finished and ready to sew into the lining. And I'm going to do all this basting off camera because my phone is overheating and about to run out of space.